Okay, so we have Doris Salcedo. She's a Colombian artist. She's interesting. She identifies herself as a third world artist or an international artist. She doesn't want her work to only be read as Colombian. If you go to Chicago through May, there's an amazing retrospective of her work up. It's going to the Guggenheim in either late May or early June. Yeah. Her work is amazing. I was just blown away to see it. I need to go back. That's how good it was. This piece, this is a site-specific piece. Ooh, I get to use history term. Site-specific piece that was created for Tate Modern in London. And I was actually looking for the crack when I was at Tate Modern over the summer. Just like, where is it? They fixed it too well. I can't find it.
Wait for 1 second, because I heard that they didn't deliberately fill it in because they had to, but they filled it in with a darker colored cement. So
I didn't see it.
Be there.
Maybe I was on the wrong side.
Yeah, I had a friend who just saw it and said it's amazing.
I don't remember seeing it.
That's the same space that the sunflower seeds.
Yeah, this is a popular spot. This is where they hold the Unilever. Unilever, you know, soaps? Mm-hmm. They have like these sponsored shows, and the Ai Weiwei piece was a Unilever sponsored piece too. I guess that's the site they always use. I noticed that the other day when I was rewatching the Art 21 on Ai Weiwei. Yeah. So there's an Art 21 on her that you should watch. I've also, I've hyperlinked, they interviewed her talking about this piece at Tate, so I've hyperlinked it. It's about 5 minutes. I was hoping that we could play it, but I don't think we have time. So what do you think the title makes reference to? Does anybody know what the word means?
It's a word or phrase that you have to say in order to prove you are who you say you are.
Kind of.
It sounds Hebrew, isn't it?
I thought it sounded Hebrew too.
But the meaning, not the origin, the meaning. Do we know the? So a Shibboleth is, it's a custom, a principle, or a belief that distinguishes a particular group of people. And it's usually considered outmoded. And so we associate it with immigrant or exiled communities, right? So when you're tied back to old world customs, I guess. And so this piece has to do with immigration in Europe. It represents borders and the experience of immigrants crossing borders and segregation, the segregation that immigrants face. And it's interesting because we don't think as much about immigration in terms of Europe as we do the United States, probably because we're here, right? And we think about the US-Mexico border, the wall, the gates, like depending what state you're in, depending how militarized it is, gated, whatever they have it, electric. But Europe also has a large influx of immigrants, and they face discrimination. And there's a lot of racial hatred, and not just of immigrants, but of different ethnic groups. When I was in France last summer, the Jewish community was facing an outbreak of violence against them, right? This is this is the historic Jewish neighborhood I was in, and people were still discriminating against them, still saying, you're not one of us. Now we've had a similar take on Muslims, right? So if you're Muslim, you're not one of us, which doesn't make any sense, but, right, this segregation, just because we might have different backgrounds, customs. And so, in a nutshell, since we're almost out of time, but I will be giving you the videos so that you can look more on it, and bibliography. These are the type of things that Doris Salcedo is commenting on. Her work, she's very interested in violence in general in her body of work, oppression, repression, right? If you were to see her exhibit, her retrospective, a lot of it has to do with military abuse. And so violence seems to be kind of a thread She's also very, I mean, it's a minimalist type of work, right? She works with very minimal materials. In this case, it's as simple as cracking a floor. And so we're seeing this negative and positive space, right, within this, the wind turbine hall. The negative space being the one occupied, right, by the immigrants, the unwanted people. So I'm thinking.
So, in this movie, will it talk about how she actually
Made?
made it?
I haven't seen it yet. I was trying to play it earlier and it wasn't playing for me because I don't know what was going on with the, I'm trying to think if I've seen her talk about, I'm not sure if she'll talk about how she made it. I'm not sure how much she makes, right? If we're talking about minimalist artists,
Right.
hands off. But she'll talk about the symbolism. I'm not sure if she talks about how she made it in that piece. It's on the Tate Modern website. Tate Modern also has a lot of pictures of it that have been taken of, and so now this piece now lives. The documentation of this piece is what now lives on, and we could go into the whole argument, these debates about, you know, did the piece end once it got refilled, or
I'm pretty sure it was refilled in black.
I don't remember it being, but you know what? I could have been on, because there's two identical halls, and I could have just been on the wrong side. And just not even.
He's an art historian and modern artist himself, but he was there and he said it's amazing because they filled it in so you can actually see where it was.
Yeah, so I could have just been on the wrong side. I'm gonna have to go back to London. There's an excuse. But now we have it in the form of photograph and in video. And so that's I guess we're left with the documentation and the residue in order to use postmodern language.
If you were to talk more about this as did you see it when it was at the craft?
No. This was back in 2007.
Did the experience a bit of stepping over the
Oh,
craft
hold on.
or
I grabbed a bunch of pictures. So we have a picture so that you see how big it kind of terrifies me. And then, what is this kind of, hold on, apparently I threw some text over this without meaning to. Not that, this. It's not what I'm telling you to do, PowerPoint. Ah! Sorry. That's what I'm trying to get it. Okay, there we go. So it's a serious crack. I can see it being a safety hazard.
Yeah.
Terrifies me that somebody could have broken something.
Those high heels could fall right down.
Yeah. That one shot is pretty beautiful. And
Is there a place that's that deep? The one shot made it look like it was as deep as this room.
oh, hold on. Sorry.
Oh, shows how the
Here's my notes.
So art isn't terrifying, it gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, she talks, I just saw my note to myself, scar. She talks about it as a scar. And somebody else talks about scars. Maya Lin talks about the scar in the earth. So that's just kind of this idea of like the minimalist aesthetic, but also the same concept of the scar.